welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we are strapping in for one of the most stressful driving scenarios you face every year. Winter roads.
Yeah.
Whether you're dealing with fresh powder, packed snow, or that terrifying visible sheen of ice. The sources all confirm that winter driving isn't just about slowing down. It's a serious test of skill.
It absolutely is. I mean, when the friction on the road drops to basically zero, your margin for error just vanishes.
Right.
So our mission today is to, cut through the general advice and really pull out the specific actionable techniques from this material.
The stuff that can really make a difference.
Exactly. The techniques that mean the difference between keeping control and, well, going into a spin.
We want to arm you with that knowledge for the moment of crisis. So we're going to answer some key questions.
Like, what's the single most dangerous temperature for ice? That's a big one.
Yes. And how do I actually handle a skid in my car? Front wheel versus rear wheel drive.
And maybe the most important, what are the subtle mistakes people are making that turn a tiny slide into a really bad avoidable crash?
Okay, let's start at the very beginning. The mandatory stuff you have to do before you even leave the driveway.
The fundamentals. It all starts with preparation.
And our sources really emphasize that the first step is one people often do halfway, which is almost as dangerous.
You're talking about clearing the car.
Exactly.
You have to clear all of it, not just, a little porthole to see through on the windshield.
Right.
We mean the mirrors, the lights, and critically, the roof.
The roof is the one people forget. Why is that so important?
Because if you leave a big slab of snow up there, you've basically created a mini avalanche waiting to happen. The second you brake hard, all that snow slides forward, completely covers your windshield, and you are instantly blind.
That's a terrifying thought. And what about equipment? Tires, specifically.
The sources are pretty clear on this. If you live somewhere with real winter tires are not a luxury.
They're a safety feature.
A critical one. They give you so much better grip once the temperature drops below about 7 degrees Celsius.
And that's even on dry roads, right? Not just snow.
That's right. The rubber compound is just different. It stays softer in the cold.
And another maintenance point. Fuel.
Yes. Keep your tank full, or at least half full. It helps prevent your fuel line from freezing up, but more importantly,
If you get stuck.
You need that fuel to run the engine for heat. Warmth is survival in that situation.
Okay, so the car's ready. Now we have to adjust the driver. This is the defensive driving part. Everyone knows to slow down, but how much and why?
Well, the rule is to reduce your speed way below the posted limit. Your stopping distance on ice can be up to 10 times longer than on dry pavement.
10 times. So if the limit is, say, 60?
You might need to be going 25 or 30. It's a huge adjustment.
And that 2-second following distance rule we all learned.
Forget it. It's totally useless here. The sources all agree you need to increase that to at least 8, maybe even 10 seconds.
That sounds like a massive gap.
It is a massive gap, but think about it. 8 seconds is how long it takes to see a problem, process it, and then start slowing down gently enough that you don't cause a skid.
But I have to ask, if I'm leaving that huge 10-second gap on a busy highway, isn't every other driver just going to cut in front of me?
That's a really valid point, and it's where the theory, meets reality.
Yeah.
The sources suggest your job is to maintain that distance as best you can. You have to anticipate that other people will be more aggressive.
So you just reestablish the gap when someone cuts in.
You reestablish the gap. Your job is to drive your car defensively, not to police the space in front of you.
That's a great way to put it. Now, beyond speed and distance, the golden rule seems to be smoothness.
Smoothness is everything. You have to pretend you're moving in slow motion.
So no sudden moves.
No sudden moves at all. Gentle acceleration, gentle braking, slow and gradual steering. Anything sudden will break that fragile bond of traction you have.
And a quick tip on visibility. The sources say use low beams in falling snow. That feels a bit backward.
It does, but your high beams will just reflect off all of the snowflakes. It creates this wall of glare right in front of your face.
So that you actually see less.
You see much less. Low beams point down at the road, which is what you actually need to see.
And before we get into the common mistakes, what are the hazard zones? The places we need to be extra careful.
Bridges and overpasses are the big ones, always.
Why is that?
Because cold air flows under them as well as over them, so they freeze much faster than the rest of the road.
Of course.
That, and any shaded areas where the sun can't melt the ice, those spots will stay slick long after the rest of the road is clear.
Okay, let's talk about human error. What are the most common avoidable mistakes the sources point to?
Well, number 1 and 2 are what we just talked about. Driving too fast and falling too close. No surprise there.
Right.
But the next one is using cruise control on icy roads.
Why is that so dangerous? You'd think letting the car manage the speed would be a good thing.
The problem is the car's computer isn't built for subtlety on ice. If a wheel starts to slip, the computer's reaction is to maintain speed, so it might actually accelerate slightly.
Which is the last thing you want.
It's the exact opposite of what you should do. That sudden input is what starts a skid or makes one worse. You need that human touch.
So you're outsourcing that critical need for smoothness to a system that just can't do it.
Perfectly said.
What about when a skid does start? What's the mistake that makes it worse?
It's the instinct to overcorrect.
Jerking the wheel.
Yeah, that sudden, violent yank on the steering wheel. When the tires do find a bit of grip, that sudden input acts like a pendulum and throws the car into an even worse skid in the other direction.
We'll get to the right way to steer in a bit, but the key is just stay calm.
Panic is your enemy. And one last thing, hills. Stopping halfway up a slippery hill is a recipe for disaster.
Because you can't get going again.
Right. You have to accelerate so hard you just spin your wheels. You have to try and anticipate the traffic and carry your momentum up the hill smoothly.
Okay, let's move into the science of this. How do we maximize the little grip that we have?
Well, beyond being smooth, it's about how you deliver the power. Using a lower gear is really important, especially when you're starting from a stop.
How does that help?
A lower gear limits the amount of torque or twisting force going to the wheels. It delivers the power more gently, so the tires are less likely to spin.
It's like dialing back the engine's power so it doesn't overpower the grip.
Exactly. And for braking, we've said be gentle, but it's more than that. You need to anticipate your stops so you never have to brake hard.
Because the second you lock the wheels,
You're no longer driving, you're sledding. You have zero steering control when the wheels aren't turning.
and tire pressure is a big deal here too, isn't it?
A huge deal. Cold air makes the air in your tires contract, so your pressure drops.
And underinflated tires don't handle well?
They don't handle well and they don't grip well. You need to check your pressure often in the winter.
This brings us to what I think is the most fascinating part of the sources, the black ice trap. Most of us assume that the colder it gets, say, -20, the more dangerous the ice is.
But that's not what the science tells us. The sources are really specific here. The absolute most slippery, dangerous ice occurs in a very narrow temperature range.
And that is?
Between 0 and -3 degrees Celsius, or about 32 to 27 Fahrenheit.
That is so counterintuitive. Why is ice that's just barely frozen more dangerous than deep freeze ice?
It's about the physics of it. When it's really, really cold, the ice is very hard and brittle, and your tires can get some minimal grip on it.
Okay.
But in that range, just below freezing, the friction from your tire rolling over the ice is just enough to melt a microscopic layer of water on top of the ice.
You're creating a lubricant.
Exactly. You're effectively hydroplaning on an invisible film of water that's on top of the ice.
Wow.
And that's also the prime temperature for black ice to form because it just looks like a wet patch on the road.
That's a huge piece of information. That should change how everyone thinks when the thermometer is hovering around freezing.
It really should.
Okay, so let's get into crisis management. The skid happens. It's high pressure, your heart is pounding. What do you do?
First, you have to fight your instincts. Stay as calm as you can.
Easier said than done.
Of course. But the first two actions are critical. Foot off the accelerator and do not slam on the brakes.
Okay, no gas, no brake. Now steering. This is the hardest part.
It is. The old advice is steer into the skid, which is confusing.
Yeah, what does that even mean?
Let's rephrase it. Look where you want the car to go and gently steer the wheels in that direction.
So the back of my car is sliding right, and I want to go straight. I look straight ahead and turn the wheel slightly to the right.
Precisely. You're pointing the front wheels where you want to end up. And the key word is gently. We can't say that enough.
Because overcorrecting is the real danger.
That's what causes the spinout.
Now, if you have to brake, how does ABS, the anti-lock braking system, change things?
ABS is a complete game changer. If you have it, you press the brake pedal down firmly and hold it.
You don't pump the brakes.
Do not pump the brakes.
No.
You'll feel the pedal vibrate or pulse under your foot. That's the system working, pumping the brakes for you way faster than a human ever could.
And that lets you keep steering control while braking.
That's the whole point. If you don't have ABS, then yes, the old advice to gently pump the brakes still applies.
The sources also made a key distinction between front-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive cars when recovering.
Yes, this is a subtle but important point. With a front-wheel drive car, the front wheels are pulling you.
Right.
So as you steer into the skid and feel traction return, you want to ease off the steering a bit and let those front wheels pull the car straight.
Okay, and with rear-wheel drive?
The rear wheels are pushing you. So as traction returns, you might need a tiny little countersteer, a turn in the opposite direction, to stop the back end from snapping around. It's a much more delicate balance.
Pulling versus pushing. That makes sense. What about for all of us driving automatic cars? How do we apply that rule of smoothness?
Well, starting off slowly is key. But if your car has a snow or winter mode, use it.
What is that actually doing inside the car?
It changes the throttle mapping.
Okay, break that down for us. Throttle mapping.
It just means it changes how the gas pedal responds. In normal mode, you touch the grass, you get instant power.
Right.
In snow mode, it makes the pedal much less sensitive. You have to push it further to get the same amount of power, which helps you accelerate much more gently and avoid wheel spin.
That's a great feature. And for slowing down on hills.
Engine braking is your best friend.
So just taking your foot off the gas.
Exactly. Let the engine's natural resistance slow the car down instead of relying only on the brakes. You can even manually select a lower gear like 2 or L to make the effect stronger.
That keeps things much more stable than just hitting the brakes.
Way more stable.
Okay, that brings us to our final crucial segment, the what-if plan, the emergency kit.
Yes, because even if you do everything right, you can still get stuck. Preparation here is all about managing risk.
So let's break the kit down. First up, things to get you unstuck. Traction and clearing.
You absolutely need a small shovel, an ice scraper, and a snow brush. For traction, you can use sand or salt, but the sources had a great tip.
Kitty litter.
Non-clumping kitty litter. It provides amazing grip under a spinning wheel.
That's a fantastic tip.
Uh-huh.
Okay, next category, warmth and survival. This is the life-saving stuff.
Non-negotiable. You need warm blankets or a sleeping bag, extra clothes hats, gloves, wool socks, and some non-perishable snacks and water.
Even for a short trip.
Especially for a short trip, that's when you get caught off guard.
And finally, communication and visibility. Letting people know you need help.
You need jumper cables, a good flashlight with extra batteries, and a phone charger or a power bank. And visibility, reflective triangles or flares to put behind your car.
And a tow strap and some windshield washer fluid that won't freeze.
That's the complete package. You're packing for the delay, not just for the drive.
So to wrap this all up, if we synthesize everything, it really boils down to 3 things, right? Patience, preparation, and smoothness.
That's it. Clear the whole car, check your tires, give yourself that huge following distance, and do everything deliberately.
And the most provocative thought to leave you with, based on the science we covered.
It all comes back to that critical temperature band. Remember that the highest risk isn't in the deep freeze. It's when the temperature is hovering right around freezing, between 0 and -3 Celsius.
Because that's when that invisible layer of water forms on the ice.
That's when you get the most catastrophic, unexpected slides. That's when you have to be most vigilant on those bridges and in those shaded spots.
That awareness is the critical difference. You have to drive based not just on what you see, but what the thermometer is telling you.
Drive with that knowledge, and you'll drive much safer.
We hope this deep dive helps you navigate the cold season more safely and confidently. We'll see you next time.
Please like, subscribe, and get notified.